All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm Dion from DQ Labs. Welcome to this webinar. Please give us a minute while we sort some technical issue out. Just hold on for 1 minute and we'll be back. All right. All right. Good evening, everyone. Please hold on for one more minute. We're just sorting out one technical issue and we'll be starting off within a minute. Just hold on for a second. We're just getting this mic up and running. So just hold on 1 second, maybe a minute more, any more. Is uh, what have you? Okay, hold on, hold on. Okay, now just check.
Unmuted.
Okay.
So I'm unmuted right now.
Yes, now we can hear you. Okay. Can you switch your cam on?
Share my webcam.
Yes, perfect. All right. Oh, okay. Okay. I'm gonna disconnect. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, we had the technical issue resolved, and thank you so much, Bulbul, for being here. Thank you so
Thank
much, Abhiday.
Thank you, Dion.
Right. So, Bulbul, not very clearly. I'm not sure we can hear you very clearly.
you. Can. I can hear you very clearly. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yes, we can hear you.
We
All
can.
right.
We can.
So, Bulbul, do you have a presentation that you'd like to share first, or would you like to talk to the group first?
Okay, I do have a presentation, and my colleague Abhyuday has got one, which we'll use
Okay.
just to make sure that I don't miss out on some of the things that all our young, I'm going to say listeners because I can't see them on my screen. I mean, I don't want to miss out on anything that might be useful for them. So if
Okay.
you permit, I would like to spend about 15-20 minutes quickly
That's cool.
talking about us. And I'm a teacher, so I tend to exceed my time, in which case Abhyuday can just let me know.
Okay.
You
Okay.
can tell me, John, there's much that the kids may already know, and I don't want to take much of their valuable time, but I can then make it, I can adapt. And thereafter, I'm
Uh-huh.
happy to take questions if that's fine.
All right. Cool. We can go ahead with that. Go ahead. Uh,
So, Abhyuday, if you can. So, very good evening to all of you, and it's a lovely time of the evening here in Mumbai, and I'm assuming Bangalore evenings are always very pleasant. So, thank you for joining, and I want to speak to you about ISDI, or the Indian School of Design and Innovation, or many of you know us as ISDI. And well, many of you also probably know that we are in Mumbai, and that's the only campus that we have. But before I talk about ISDI, I wish to congratulate each of you who've opted for design as a career, because there can be nothing more exciting. At least in my life, I know nothing more exciting than having opted for design, because it doesn't feel like work. Not one day have I felt like not going to work. And I'm sure so have all of you opted for design. I speak to you as a representative of ISDI. I also speak with you as a parent, because I have a not so young 20-year-old who is also studying design. So I'm going to try and talk to you in the capacity of a parent, as an educator, and as somebody who represents ISDI. Without taking much of your time, Abhyuday, if you're ready, we'll start the presentation.
Yeah, sure. Dion, I
yeah.
would need the screen rights.
Sure. 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 And you know what? Before you'll start, I should actually be introducing you. I completely forgot when we were trying to solve the technical issue out. But yeah. But for everyone here, we have Bulbul Chowdhury, who's the Dean of Admissions and Academic Partnerships. She's one of the backbones of ISDI, and a very, very vibrant person. And we're glad to have her here. We also have Abhyuday Roy, who's the Vice President of Outreach and Admissions. Again, a very close associate of mine, and known him for quite some time now. All right. So
Thank you.
thanks a lot for being here. And let me give you, Abhyuday, the presenter, and let me make you the presenter. Yes. So I'm going to mute myself so you can take over, and then whenever I feel the need, I'll button.
So while many, okay, so many of you, Abhyuday, I'll start my talking. You can show the slide anyway. So when many of you know us as part of, as ISDI, as I said before, but we are actually part of a much larger setup, or an organization called DICE. And No prizes for guessing what DIE stands for. It stands for design, innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship. Now, many of you would ask me, well, what's new about design and creativity in a design school? Isn't it but obvious that a design school would have design in it and creativity in it? And my answer is yes. And to that extent, the two very exciting words for me in DICE is the I and the E. I, that stands for innovation, and E, that stands for entrepreneurship. Now, much of my generation in India has been a generation, and I'm not talking for DQ Labs and for the entire fraternity of DQ Labs, and I forgot to thank you, Dion, for this opportunity. But much of my generation, and Dion will say, hey, listen, I'm not your generation, that's fine. It was a generation of job seekers, right? For us, the biggest thing was, all right, now, what am I going to do after college? What kind of a job will I get? Will I start earning? What am I going to earn? And the biggest thing was to go get yourself a job. And I think as a country, we've largely been a country of job seekers. The idea at DICE was to create a country of job creators, because when you create jobs, not only do you do that for yourself, every time you create a job or an employment or an entrepreneurship or a project your own, you create a lot of value and wealth for yourself, but you also create a lot of value and wealth for the country. And if you look at some of the biggest entrepreneurs of our times, whether it's Mr. Ratan Tata or Mr. Mukesh Ambani, look at the way they've all contributed to the Prime Minister's kitty in this time of crisis. So that is the power of entrepreneurship, to create value, wealth for yourself, but a larger network of people you involve, and finally for our country. And I'm going to ask some of you, and you can use the chat box, of how does innovation happen? I'm not going to give you all the answers. I told you how entrepreneurship and why it is important. But I also want to ask you, how does innovation happen? How do we as a design school ensure that we are constantly innovating? Don't give me the answer as technology, because yes, technology, without technology, there is no innovation. But what are the other ingredients for innovation to happen? And I'm happy to invite some of the answers from all of you. You go to the next slide, I'll be there. Now, why am I talking to you about DICE? Because at DICE, when you come to ISDI, which is the first of these, if you see 5 schools over here, right? So there is ISDI, there is a business school called ISME, there's a school of communication called ISDI WPP. Not many of you know, but we're also a school for hospitality called DICE EHL, and we are a film school called DICE VFS, or the Vancouver Film School. And the first of these 5 schools is what started in the year 2013, which was ISDI. And I know that many of you are in, and most of you are probably from Bangalore. And so if there's a Dean's Academy, or if there is a Bishop's, your school has the infrastructure, your school has the teachers, the labs, the facility, but the school chooses to offer the curriculum of, let us say, A-levels or IB or CBSE or HSC or a state board or ISC. Similarly, at ISDI, we are like your school, and the curriculum that we offer is that of Parsons. So I need you to understand, what do we offer, and what is Parsons? Well, I didn't study there, I wish I had, but Parsons is rated as the world's #1 school for design for undergrads. When I say undergrads, that means all of you who finished your 12th, the next thing that you will do is undergrad. Now that's ISDI, which we started in 2013. But I also want you to know the other members of our family, which is a business school, which is ISME. There's a school in Switzerland, which is a hospitality school called École Hôtelière de Lausanne, which is the leading school for hospitality, and that's DICE EHL. Outside of New York, the largest film industry is in Canada, in Vancouver, and there's a leading film school there called VFS, or Vancouver Film School. So the idea was to go and find the best design school, or the best hospitality school, or the best film school, or the best school for communication and advertising or business, and bring them to India. Now, why am I even telling you so much about all the other schools, whereas all of you are probably interested in fashion or product or communication, etc.? The reason is each of these 5 schools draws out a list of 86 electives. And while you study at ISDI, you have every semester, we have a 4 years program, which is 8 semesters. And every semester, you can pick up one elective from any other school. So let's say while you're studying at ISDI, you could pick up an elective from how to make films from the film school, which is a 60 hours module, or you could pick up even an unusual module like culinary arts, or possibly event management and PR from the communication school. I do believe that many of us are not sort of made to only do design, right? And we also have other interests. And this is an opportunity for you to collaborate with all the other schools and sort of learn other electives and become that one person who goes beyond and knowing just design or product design, but you also understand the entire DICE ecosystem, because the world operates like that. World is not product design, communication design, interior design, right? We are all sort of like a DICE ecosystem outside of the campus. Okay, so Anand, we'll go to the next one. And I'm now going to talk to you largely about ISDI. Abhyuday, keep me on track with time so that I don't exceed my limit. Okay. We, as I've said this to you before, we offer the programs of Parsons in India. Uh, well, whereas Parsons is a school as much for design and fashion and product and strategic design, in this slide, I stuck to putting two fashion designers, Mark Jacobs and Donna Karen, who are both alum of Parsons. And the reason I did that is because fashion designers often assume a celebrity status, and either because of their brands or because of their celebrity status, we recognize a brand like DKNY or Calvin Klein or Marc Jacobs or Gucci. My first job was actually working for DKNY, but having said so, they are the graduates of Parsons. So just so that you know what's the school about. Go to the next one over here. Okay, I remember in 2013 I was starting another design school in Mumbai, and the big news was that Parsons is coming to India, and everyone was talking about where will they start their campus. Well, I always knew it would be Mumbai because Mumbai is a design capital. Well, film industry is here. Not that all of us want to work for the film industry, but film industry creates a lot of creative employment. The television industry, the news publication channels, in fashion, out of the five leading magazines, all five are headquartered out of Mumbai, which is Grazia, Condé Nast, Elle, Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, which is India Today. Your advertising industries, the large advertising agencies like O&M, Lintas, Grey, about 76% of the large design firms are registered and headquartered out of Mumbai. So the chances are of every four, three jobs are in Mumbai. And so it was a very obvious choice for Parsons to start out of Mumbai, because chances of your employment, your industry, and all of these ecosystem coming together would be in Mumbai. And though Delhi is the capital, jokingly we say that Mumbai is where the capital is. But on a more serious note, this is where the design capital of India is. Just as Bangalore is, I think, the IT capital or the software capital of the country. Okay, so that's us in Mumbai. And then, talking about Parsons, by now you already know that what is our relationship with Parsons. We offer their programs in India. Whereas in Parsons, there are about 20 different courses. In India, we don't offer all the 20 courses. We offer 6, which are the most exciting as far as employment or entrepreneurship are concerned, which is, I'll talk about it later. I'm going to not talk so much about faculty training. I'd have loved to, but I'll come to the most exciting part for students, which is students transfer. Now, incidentally, I'm also the Dean for International, so all kinds of opportunities for students to get any kind of international exposure is to my office. And I think it's very important that each of the 360 students that we take every year must at least go through one international exposure. We have 3 kinds of international opportunities. The shortest one is 15 days. It's called an immersion. My most sort of favorite is the second one, which is an exchange program, which happens for 6 months to a year. And the third one is a transfer, which means you finish 2 years at ISDI and then you take a transfer to a partner university anywhere in the world. And of course, Parsons is very popular. About 10% of our students from any batch do take a transfer. That means they finish 2 years at ISDI and they finally go to any of our partner universities. But exchange is my favorite. You can do an immersion of 15 days anytime. You can do it in the first year, second, third, or the fourth year. The exchange program is only in the second year and the third year, and a transfer happens at the end of the 2 years. And yes, why do I love the exchange program? Because for every student who goes to a partner university, we also receive a student. But more exciting is that it's tuition free. Nobody pays any tuition fee to them because you're going to a European university. It could be Germany, Netherlands, Berlin, wherever. And chances that their tuition will be higher than ISDI are quite high, but you're not going to pay any tuition because you're going as part of an exchange student. Currently, all our exchange students who were in different parts of Europe, we've called them back because of COVID, but they're all planning to go back on 1st of June. I'm happy to talk to you more about international, and we ensure that each of these students gets that one experience while at ISDI. Okay, we'll go to the next one, Abhyuday. As I said before, we've got 6 programs that we offer: communication, fashion, product, fashion communication, strategic design management, and product design. The first year is common to all the students. It is only at the end of the first year that you actually take a real decision on what specialization is most suited to you. Normally, I come across only 2 students to start with, those who are very clear at this stage, right? Who are very clear that they want to do fashion or something like in fashion, and those who are equally clear that they want to do anything in fashion. How do you really take a decision? I do not know. I studied at fashion design, but quite honestly, if I had a chance to study and if I was fully aware of all the specializations that I have, I would have definitely studied communication design. But having said so, I think it's very important that you go through a complete experience of what each of these programs offers before you take a decision on your specialization. Well, we don't call it foundation because Parsons takes a huge offense to the word foundation. Foundation is normally a word which is used for slightly weaker students in UK. They do a foundation and then they come to the subsequent program. We call it first year studies. And there is no fixed seats per specialization. That means if there are more students wanting to apply for product or communication or fashion, so be it. There's another specialization called strategic design management, which I think is very exciting. Very few students apply for it at this stage, but 1 year down the line, we have about 35 to 40 students who opt for this specialization. Okay, the campus. One reason when I interview a lot of students, one of the questions I ask, what is it about SD that you like? And 9 times out of 10, one of the things they would often say is the campus. Yes, it is international and it is truly, truly international. If you see the building to your top left, it is an iconic building that is called One India Bulls. So this part of Mumbai, by the way, Lower Parel, is called Lower Parel Innovation District. If any of you have been to Dubai, there's a place called D Cube or Dubai Design District. So all design school, design companies, everything to do with design is in D Cube. We don't have a design district in our country, but we do have an innovation district in India, and it is in Lower Parel in Mumbai. And we are in the design innovation district. It's called Lower Parel Innovation District. These 2 buildings together themselves house a lot of design companies and fashion publications, banks, event management companies, PR. In the evening, if you go to the parking, you can even listen to Mr. Arnab Goswami clearing his lungs and throat and everything. So we are on the left side of this building. As you can see, the building is in 2 parts. On the left, on the 4th, 5th, 6th, and the 7th floors, we are ISDI Tower. This part of the building, or the right part, as you see, is the ISME Tower or the business school. The other day, a student asked me, what if I want to do an elective from the film school? Do I have to go out of the building? No, you don't. Everything happens, everything in DICE happens within this building. On the ground floor is the food court. And well, the good news is that all ISDI students and staff, all of us as well, get a 20 or 25% discount in the food that we buy there. The pictures of the campus are there for you. The specifications of this campus was exactly in line with the specs of the Parsons campus in New York. And so in many ways, you will find this look exactly the same. Okay, now we'll go to the next one. Okay, I'm going to share this presentation with you, Dion, and I'm happy if you want to share this presentation with any of the students so they can go over it more leisurely and go through the slides. The idea of this campus was to have a campus with no walls. And if some of you come, you will realize that there are very little walls, and whatever little is there is also in glass. And it's not segregated like a government office of product design or department of communication design or department of interior design. So if everyone's supposed to expected to work together, so the augmented reality or the virtual reality labs will be used as much as by the communication design students as a filmmaking student, or likewise the metal and wood cutting by interior design students or product design students. So they're not meant to be for any one department, but the idea is that you should collaborate and work together. Collaboration does not come very easily to us because we've largely always been very competitive, but designers only operate in a collaborative space, and this is the first step towards getting you to get collaborative. Okay, I'll go to the next one. Abhida. Again, some more pictures. These are all self-explanatory, so I'm not going to talk to you too much about it. All right. A couple of things here. If you have questions, you can ask me on chat box, etc. If you look at the top 20 or 25 or even 30 schools across the globe, there's a reason why you will find them in London or New York or Paris or Mumbai. And the reason is that so look at Parsons or look at UAL, which is a great school for fashion design, which is in London, Royal College of Art, again in UK, London, in the heart of London actually, where there is a real estate is so expensive. But for us, it's so important to be in the city because this is where your teachers are, this is where your industry is, this is where your placements are, this is where your internship is. Gone are the days that if I took 360 students, at the end of 4 years, I go to the HR department and say, hey, by the way, I've got 360 students graduating. Do you think you can recruit them? No. Design recruitment happens in large numbers, but each company does not recruit very large numbers, 3, 4, 2, 3. But the number of companies are large. But high quality jobs in each company are in fewer numbers. And so today you have to get the company or the industry or the employer into the class the same day that you come into the class. And therefore, I can't be back or beyond for this. I have to be in Mumbai where all the action is, or for that matter, why Parsons is in New York or why Royal College of Art is in London. This, I think, is very important to a design school. Possibly may not be so important to others, but similar, just exactly why a great hospital would be in a big city like Bangalore or Mumbai. Similarly, a design school must be where the greatest teachers are. My times, we talked about student teacher-led curriculum. Today, you talk about student-led curriculum. This I can go on talking for the longest time, but there's a lot of, I think students are very aware of design problems. You're aware of the consumer. You're aware of who are you designing for. You don't design for just, someone who don't even know, I mean, there's a definite demand that you're designing for. And to that extent, you decide your customer base, or you decide the client, or when I designed 50% of the time, when I was a student in fashion, my customer was a lady called Christy Turlington, who was Calvin Klein's all-time favorite model. I don't think Christy Turlington had any idea who Bulbul Mawar in Delhi designing for her was, but in my head, I was only designing for her. Gone are those days, right? You don't just design for someone in your head. There has to be a real customer or a real industry who's willing to put money in your project. Okay. Faculty at ISDI, there are 4 types of the next one. There are 4 kinds of teachers at ISDI. The senior most are the deans, who are the people who have a helicopter view of things. Then you have the international faculty who come to us anywhere between 15 days to a year. The third are your HODs. There are 6 departments, so 6 HODs. All of them would have about 15 years experience, 10 years in the industry, 5 years of teaching. But the most exciting, and these you can see are some of our teachers, their educational backgrounds. In India, they've studied at IIT, Indian Institute of Science, NID, NIFT, but most of them would have had an international education also. And of course, as I said, they must have an industry experience. So that's to your right. You can see which are the places where they've all worked significantly. But the 4th kind of teachers, whom I call the disruptors, are the most exciting for all the young people. Because these are the guys, or when I say guys, I'm being gender neutral, these are the guys who are going to roll up their sleeves and work with you in the labs. They're closest to your age, and you're going to find most exciting working with them. And they are the ones who probably finished their masters and are in between planning a PhD or a master's, have worked for, and want to teach a little bit before they pursue their masters or PhD. So they are the ones who I think the students are very close to, and they are the ones who would largely teach you in your first and your second years. Okay, what else do I talk to you about? Abhyuday, let's see the next one. I've actually covered your 15 days immersion. I've talked about your 2+2 opportunities. Of course, about 75% of our students, see, when you finish 3 years at ISDI, you have to declare one of the three things. Okay, either you say, all right, I'm going to work in India, and that, by the way, is the largest percentage of our students. That's 75% of our students who say, okay, I'm going to work after finishing 4 years in ISDI. I'm going to work. 15% of our students would say, I'm going to do a master's or higher education and I'll go to an international design school. And 10% of them would say, I'm going to start something there for my own. So 75% are the ones who want to start working, 15% who want to go for masters, and 10% who want to start something their own. It doesn't matter what you want to do, but in any case, we have to start the work. It takes 1 year to do any of this, right? If you want to find you a great job, not a good job, it takes us 1 year to find the most suitable job for you. If we want to get you an international master's, we apply for universities, we get your visa, we negotiate scholarships, we send you. All of that also takes about a year or 9 months. And then finally, if you want to start something your own, you must do that while you're at ISDI. Some of you might want to file your patents, and it does cost money to file your patents. You've already reached your 4th year. You've asked your parents to pay your fee for the 1st year, 2nd year, 3rd year. Now they're not going to give you any more money, right? So ISDI is going to pay the money for your design patents, and of course we'll take some credit for it. And I'm happy to share a list of patents we filed while the students were still in the school. And remember, I said it's a school for innovation. So what is a school for innovation if it hasn't filed enough number of design patents of students' work? So that's the 3 categories of students that we have, and these are some of your. We can continue up with it. I'm not sure how we do your time. Okay, some of our partner universities, but the next slide will actually show you the next one here. These are the. It's actually a no. Go back. Yeah, 50 plus, perfect. So these are the students, correct. These are the students who finished in the last 3 years. Remember, we started in 2013. It is only in the year 2016 that students were eligible for a 2+2 program. And from 16 until 19, this number is old, 50 plus. We've sent about 75 plus students on a transfer. And as you can see, whether it's Parsons or SCAD or UL or SAIC or COCA or SCAD, we send a very large number of students on a transfer. And when the students go to a partner university like UAL or SCAD or Parsons or COCA or SCAD or SAIC, they would then be awarded their degrees to the universities they go to. None of our students have ever been declined admission to any of our partner universities. However, the quantum of scholarship will depend on the quality of your portfolio over the 2 years. And yes, they vary. If you have a great portfolio, you can really get a very high scholarship. If it's a moderately good, then accordingly the scholarship would vary. Okay, we'll go to the next one. These are some of the universities in UK that we have an arrangement with. Goldsmith is rated at a number 3 in UK. Glasgow School is brilliant for product design. Royal College of Art, of course, is the world's number 1. So we've partnered in different kinds of arrangements with different universities in UK. There are 12 signed MOUs. And the great news about doing UK is interesting because you could just go, if you wish, only for the last year and not for 2 years. And what's great about UK is that for the starting last year or this year, if you spend at least 1 year in UK, you get a post-study visa. Anything under 1 year is not possible. So if you just do the final year in UK, you do 3 years in India, just the final year in one of our partner universities, then you can continue living in UK on a study visa. Sorry, post-work visa, not on a study visa. Okay. All right, Abhidhan, let's see what else. Okay, so this is typically how I told you 75% of our students would work, 15% go for a master's. If you see the young lady in a green shirt in the picture in the center, this is exactly how an offer for a master's happened. This is exactly as is. So in the first 2 pictures you can't see, but Ritika Lalwani, that's the name of the student. She's standing in front of the audience, the UAL team that comes to us every February. She's presenting her work and her portfolio of 3.5 years of work. On the wall, etc., is a work on display. And when the team goes back, they send out an offer letter. Actually, I have her offer letter also. Abhyuday, you may not have it, or you may have it, but anyway. So that's that. Okay, what else? Next one, Abhyuday. This is the first batch of students, and as you can make out, if you just look at any one of them with Janvi Lathia right on top, She finished communication design at ISDI, and she was very clear that she wanted to go to Parsons. But when she finally applied for masters, she had three offers, which was at Parsons, School of Visual Arts again in US, and she also had an offer from University Arts London. So most of the time, students would have 3 or 4 offers for masters, and depending on wherever they're getting the best scholarship or whichever country they wish to study in, they would apply. For most students, US is the most popular destination for masters. For bachelors, of course, they go to various other places. Okay, Abhyuday. Some more of your Parsons teachers. All right, we continue. The gentleman, my very favorite, the gentleman on the right-hand top corner, Rob Phillip. He's the HOD product design at Royal College of Art. And we do a very special project with Royal College of Art. It's a class with no teachers. So Royal College of Art is a place which only offers master's courses. And their senior students and our senior most undergraduate students, they do projects together. And this is a typical example of peer-to-peer learning. Remember, you learn best from people who are just slightly older than you are, okay? Because they understand your reality more than anyone else. And so that's a typical class on peer-to-peer learning. And there are 6 projects we picked up, and we deal with one every year. So last year it was intelligent mobility. There is affordable housing, affordable healthcare, traffic, garbage disposal, all the city problems, right? Whether it's London or whether it's Mumbai or Bangalore, every city has the same problem. So each year, the group is working on one project. Last year was transportation, and that's the work we do with Royal College of Art. Okay, I'm not going to talk about all else because secret sauce of ISDI's placements. At the time the students graduate from ISDI, each student has at least 3 paid internships. And in the final year, you do 1 paid capstone project. Now, at the end of the first year and before you start the second year, you do your first internship. Likewise, at the end of the second year, the summer of the second year, you do your second internship, and the summer of the third year, but before you go to the fourth year, you do your third internship. These are some of our companies that students regularly intern at or have been placed. The average salaries, I don't know if Abhyuday has the slide, of last year for the design school was 8 lakhs per annum. And for the postgraduate school, it was 12 lakhs per annum. We also have a sectorial distribution, but that I can. Okay, Abhyuday, the next slide. So each of you, when you graduate from ISDI, would have about 7 months or 30 weeks of paid internship. And look at it like this. If you're a fashion design student and you have 3 opportunities for internship, you could do one with a designer. You could do the other one with a screen-based medium like a Netflix or even the film or television. You could do another one with a retail chain like a Shoppers or a Lifestyle or even a Myntra or LimeRoad or Nicobar. And you could, the fourth one, which could be a capstone project, you could possibly do with a magazine like Elle or Vogue. If you're a product designer, you could do one with a furniture company like IKEA, and I think in this you can see one. You could do one with a healthcare company like Philip Healthcare. You could do one internship with, let's say, medical devices I've already talked about, or UX, UI kind of a thing, and you could do one in personalized electronics. So similarly, communication design, advertising, pure design studios, packaging firms, or UX, UI. So over the 4 internships or 3 internships and a capstone, you can get yourself a varied immersion in different kinds of organizations to know what is best suited to you to even start yourself. But yes, you must get some experience. Infosys is one of our regular employers. Last year we had 6 students join them. This year we have 10 students join them. To have students join Infosys, we must be empaneled. Companies like TCS, Infosys, Philip Healthcare, we need empanelment. So all the companies that need empanelment, we are empaneled with. That just makes it that much easier for our students to go there because you are part of their choice of schools that they recruit from. Every Wednesday, the DICE ecosystem, that means students from the film school, the hospitality school, the design school, the business school come together into a big sort of a event which is called a Stalwart series, where someone comes and talks to you. These are all pictures of the Stalwart series. I stuck to mostly fashion designers here because all of you would recognize fashion designers. but also because they are from the design. But we all also, and remember, we are a film school, so you must have a little bit of Bollywood in whenever. Okay, these are a couple of the other. Bandana is the editor of Vogue. Hafiz Contractor, many of you know. Farah Ali Khan is also a design influencer. Okay, fashion influencer. So this is a Wednesday series. We don't really have a reward and recognition system in India. Most ratings in India are all done by publication firms and largely paid. However, Economist, which is a leading international publication, identified 3 schools in Asia which they said were at the cutting edge of design and innovation. One is in Hong Kong, the other in Singapore, and in India, ISDI, and that is why it is recognized as the most innovative design school in India, but of the 3 in Asia. Of course, Economic Times also went on to award, give us a tag of the most path-breaking design school uh, in India. But of course, these are all non-paid, independent rankings. Okay, what else? All students, this is exciting, all right? Because if you had come to ISDI to write an examination, that you would have realized that even the examination is largely conducted by the students. It is students run. Students are dealt and treated as just like ourselves, except the fact that all of you are slightly younger and maybe have slightly lesser experience. We are not any different, isn't it? You expect to be treated well, I expect to be treated well. You expect to be respected, I expect to be respected. So you are really not any different. And therefore, if I run the school, you also help me run the school. But this slide actually talks about the student life. All students are expected to be members of at least one club. There are about 16 or 17 active clubs like theater, dance, music, band, entrepreneurship, mountaineering, and all staff and teachers also must be member of at least one club. So this is a little bit of peek into their lives, and I think this is really the last slide. These are a lot of the emergence within the country, craft documentations and emergence within the country. I talked about international earlier. Okay. And I think this is really the last slide is the last slide. After this, it says thank you. Okay. So I'm not sure how I've done with time, but this is like as fast as possible. Uh, if you have
Dion,
any
I
questions,
suppose we made it in time. Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. No problem. You can complete that.
so Dion, I can't see the questions, but if there are any, I'm happy to take.
Yes. Yes. Right. So I think the first person to respond was Mehak Oswal when you asked for what does innovation mean. She says the
Oh yes,
mind keeps
yes.
running through, yeah, running through thoughts that lead to solutions and hence innovation.
It starts. Sorry, say that again, Dion.
The mind keeps running through various thoughts that leads to solutions and hence that is innovation.
Yeah, sure.
Very
Innovation is about solving problems, and so she said solutions, right? And obviously,
yeah.
solutions are problems, right? You
Yes,
solve
yes,
problems.
absolutely.
So you must have a really good problem to solve if you want a really good innovation.
Yeah.
I that's for her. Yeah, okay.
Okay, okay. Cool. So she's also asked, what kind of a degree do we get at the end of 4 years?
Okay, so this is Mehek, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So Mehek, there are 3 qualifications that we will award you at ISDI. The first is a certification from Parsons, which certifies you to have completed 4 years in product or interior or fashion or communication, whichever course you choose to do at ISD. This certification is important for you because this is what will allow you to work anywhere in the world. If you notice, a lot of Indian designers also have gone on and done a certain program at Parsons because the certification allows them, if they're fashion designers, to go into fashion weeks all over. Because then you're not going as a student, but you are empaneled as an international designer. So this certification, you will realize the value of in due course. But yes, it is an international certification. You will need it for your jobs, employment, international employments, PR when you're applying for an international transfer, etc. The second one that you will get is a diploma that is awarded to you by ISDI. And the third one is a degree that we will award you. And this degree is a government recognized degree. It's a bachelor's in arts degree in sociology. Remember, all of UK follows BA in design and MA in design. All of US follows BFA, Bachelor's in Fine Arts, and Master's in Fine Arts. If you went and studied at Parsons at this point, you would get a Bachelor's of Fine Arts degree. If you went to UK to study design, you would get a Bachelor's of Arts in Design. Our degree is in Bachelor's of Arts with a major in sociology. Parsons is a big fan of social sciences or liberal arts. Even if you want to be a banker, you must have one social science like psychology or sociology. So our degree is in Bachelor's of Arts with a major in sociology. And with this degree, you can go to any of the leading colleges, universities in the world, whether it's Parsons, University Arts London, Royal College of Art, SAIC, SCAD, wherever. And it's a Government of India degree, and you can go and study masters anywhere in the world with this degree, or even in India.
Awesome. So, yeah, so she's got a few more questions. I'll focus on that. If we opt for a transfer, do we have to pay the fees of the foreign school? So if they transfer to the international school,
If they take a transfer to an international school,
yeah, do they what fees do they have to pay? The fees of the international school.
what's the fee? All right, good question, Mehak. Thank you. I'm going to give you like a thumb rule to remember. Now, let us say you were to study in India in a city, in a very good design school, and let us say a school like ISDI. The tuition, and I'm doing a comparison for you on fee, which is why I'm talking about India. A typical tuition fee in India is about 6 lakhs, okay, plus minus. I'm talking about a high value school, right? Okay. And living is an extra cost. Let us say anywhere in this country, uh, except Bangalore, because you've got home there. But living would typically be about 2.5 to 3 lakhs per annum. So most students between living and tuition would have a budget of, let's just say, about 8.5, 9 lakh rupees. Just for maths, I'll round it off to 9 lakhs. If you were to go to UK, this 9 lakhs will become about 18 or 20 lakh rupees with some scholarship. And this 20, if you were to go to a place like Parsons, would become about, of course, unless we get you a killer of a scholarship, about 50. So a thumb rule to remember, India is to UK is to US is a 1 is to 2 is to 5. Okay. And of course, this is without scholarships, but this is a basic thumb rule to remember. But nobody goes without scholarship. Remember, most students do get quite easily, they would get about 30-35% scholarship. But yes, remember, all the best design schools are in metro cities, right? They would normally be in a New York or in a London or in an Amsterdam or even Berlin. Europe is cheaper because living is far cheaper in Berlin and Utrecht and such like cities. So living costs can come down significantly. But a broad thumb rule is 1 is to 2 is to 5. Now remember, I'm only talking about the best design schools. I'm talking about like a Royal College of Art, or I'm talking about a Parsons. I'm not talking about, and I'm talking for undergraduate transfer. I'm not talking about masters here. So 1 is to 2 is to 5 is a good thumb rule to remember. But what you should expect of ISDI is to give you, just as you expect that of DQ Labs, is to give you a killer portfolio so that you can negotiate scholarships. What you can't negotiate is really living cost, right? That comes at a real, whatever the actual costs are.
All right, interesting. Um, right. Now, some of the questions. Okay. Something that I found very interesting and outstanding at ISD is the product design department. All right. I thought there was some really cool work going on there, and very interesting. So, could you please elaborate as who's heading that and
Talk
what
about
they
it.
do.
It's like this.
What's
You know what?
different about the product design?
So what happened, Dion, is whenever you have a great design school, whether it's Parsons or Royal College or ISDI, it's never one program it'll ever be known for. Okay, you must do all your 6 or 7 courses really well to be called a good design school. Otherwise, you're like an FIT, like a standalone fashion school or whatever. But if you a good design school is rated very highly in all parameters for it to be really a good design school. And why I'm smiling is for the longest time I heard, you know what, ISDI Parsons is great for fashion, and we know that Calvin Klein and Donna Karan and John Marc Jacobs and the House of Gucci and everyone started out of Parsons. And whereas it's great for fashion, what do you think of product? And we said, okay, fair enough. Let's present our product design department. Now I hear that we are very good at product, but actually I think all the 6 specializations are really special. If you give me a minute, I'll just switch on the light.
Yeah.
So yeah. So coming back to product design at ISDI, I think what is very obvious about the brilliance of this department is this is the single largest product design department of the country, which has the maximum number of design patents, right? So that is the test of the pudding, right? Was your idea even worth patenting, right? And this happens partly because the faculty come with the same background of having worked and taught and worked in the industries. Of course, the Parsons pedagogy is very useful, but more importantly, the projects are very relevant. And by the time the student is finished the second year, see what happens in a typical design school, as I notice it, is that everyone goes through the same project. And as Bhaskar would say, okay, this is the patents that Abhyuday is showing you. It would be, let's do a little bit of everything. Like one project should be on consumer goods, one on white goods, one on making a mixie, one on making a coffee maker. These are the so it ends up looking a little bit like a Gujarati thali, right? There's a little bit of everything in it, right? You pick up whatever you want. Whereas the idea is that by the time, if you're looking at going to Philip Healthcare at the end of 4 years, they're going to look at is the work that you've done in medical innovation, medical devices, smart products. They are not interested in seeing how many mixies you've made, right? So I think what really is useful is that though they are doing a generic product design course to start with, by the time they get finished their second year, they have identified an area of work which could be out designing for outdoor spaces, kids play stations, medical equipment and innovation. And remember, why do I keep repeating medical equipment and innovation? Because it's a very important area for the country. You know the reason why we are so paranoid about COVID in India is we don't even have enough ventilators if there was a real, a challenge we had to. So we have to make sure we never get to that stage. Affordable healthcare is a big problem. So the minute you pick up projects which are relevant, there are people who are interested to put the money and effort and energy into your project, whether it's an industry or whether it's a teacher, or even when you want to go for a master's. And I think the relevance to the industry makes it very exciting. But of course, over the 3 years, students do the usual Gujarati thali also. I mean, when I say Gujarati thali, mehek, don't get offended. It could be a Rajasthani thali also. But you do at least you have a thali, right? Most of us don't do a thali, right? So there will be simple products like making products like that, or very simple products like making those. To personalized electronics like toasters, mixies, shavers, hair dryers, to getting into the second year when you would do things like automobile design. And we've got an arrangement with Coventry University for those who want to major in transportation, to furniture design, to finally in the third year when you would do things like UX, UI, and smart products, and then finally medical equipment and devices. So you will get into a specialization. As you can see, Bozo here is a nebulizer which is used for children who are asthmatic, and there is obviously always sort of a stigma to being seen with a nebulizer. But this nebulizer will also tell you as to how many shots are left. It sends a message to the parents that they need to recharge it. the wings and the coloration changes depending on how much the drug, the medicine still remains with it, etc. So this was of course done for children, and it's called Bozo, and it's done like a bird, which is this is of course in stackable hard disks, etc. So these are some patents that Abhyuday is sharing with you, which are shareable. Not all my design patents are shareable, but so I think that's probably what, and it's also the focus of the country right now towards certain types of product design. The other is exchange programs. I think Netherlands, Germany are at the forefront of technology-driven design for in products. And I think a lot of work that we are doing with universities like Technical University Eindhoven or HKU between Germany and Netherlands by way of exchange, etc., also give us the desired impetus to find relevant pathways for our product design students. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, dear.
Awesome, 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 cool. Cool. And I think we have a question here. What's the current role of Rana Kapoor in ISDI? Does
Mhm.
the current Yes Bank issue, would it have any impact on ISDI?
Okay, couple of things here, and thank you for that question. Uh, Parsons or ISDI was started by two people. One is Mr. Siddharth Shahani, and the other lady is Radha Kapoor. So we refer to them as co-founders because two people started that company. So the co-founders are Radha Kapoor, who is the daughter of Mr. Rana Kapoor, and Siddharth Shahani, who is the current and who is the co-founder also, and if I may say, my boss. Okay. Now, um, while we started, so it was Radha who was largely instrumental in bringing Parsons to India, and that was because she herself studied over there. And the idea was to bring something as international as Parsons to India because otherwise the cost of education was so expensive. Anyway, so that's how we started. Uh, so Dion, we started out as a company. We were a company in the year 13 and 14 and possibly until 15. Uh, in 15 or sometime around that time, we re-registered, we dissolved the company and we registered ourselves as a trust. We are registered with the Charity Commissioner in Worli, registered as a trust. There are four trustees of this particular trust. The name of the trust is Innovation Trust. And as I said, we had registered with the Charity Commissioner. None of the members of the Kapoor family, including Radha, who is the co-founder, are members of the trust. So no member of the family or Mr. Rana Kapoor anyway never was, but Radha was a member of, when ISDI started out, but no members of the family since 15 or around that time have been part of ISDI. Of course, they're well-wishers and by all means they are. But having said so, she moved on from the trust and the trust became an absolutely independent trust. Dr. Indu Shahani is one of the members of the trust. She's a trustee. There are three other trustees, but the family members are not involved in the running of ISDI or in the capacity of trustees of this particular trust called the Innovation Trust. So Mr. Rana Kapoor, in any case, I mean, a lot of people believe or have, there's a general perception that because ISDI was started by Radha Kapoor, the money came from the bank. Well, Mr. Kapoor has not been chairman of the bank for a while now. We generate our uh, revenues through students' tuition fee, which is about 6 lakhs per annum, 360 students. So we are definitely a profitable organization. We are not dependent on any sort of funding from any internal or external banks. Uh, I'm not saying that our fee is less. It's not very high. It's sort of moderately good to keep us reasonably profitable at 360 students. So that is what the status is. But yes, it's important that this be known because there is a general perception that the funding came from the bank or the members of the family have been involved in the day-to-day functioning or even otherwise of ISDI, which is not the case. Has not been the case for the last 3 years actually, but nobody asked back then because it didn't make news. But now this question is but bound to to come because of whatever news is around.
All right, all right. I hope that's answered your question. So another question from Neha. What do you offer? Sorry, what kind of library and research center does ISDI
Wow, and someone asked about the library.
have?
Okay. So we have, see, libraries have transformed into being student, what do we call it? Student experience zones, right? So it's a combination of books, access to online material, and of course it becomes really important now, but access to online material from certain international platforms, publications, and also an idea sharing zone. Again, the entire space is, again, like I said before, without walls. It is totally an open space, and library is actually called resource center. Research that you're doing is obviously pertaining to a certain area. Chances of doing research in the first and the second year is that you will be doing very generic research, but as you sort of identify your areas that you want to work in, your research will get more and more deep in those areas. So if you were, let's say, doing medical equipment and innovation and research in that area, even your department, let's say the Department of Product Design and the faculty, would have their own resource center, which would have a lot of material pertaining to the area that you want to pursue your subsequent research in. Other than that, there is a regular resource center where you would have access to all kinds of books and publications and magazines and media for the purpose of your first and the second or even your third year of study. Research beyond in today's time also comes with a lot of help from industry. So your access to material that industry provides, some of these projects that you're given also come with a what is called non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, but they would give you a lot of content for you also to study depending on the projects that you're doing, as long as you do not sort of copy or print or plagiarize it, etc. So there is, I don't have a picture. I don't think Abhyuday has a picture of our resource center, but we can send it over. And it's one of the most exciting spaces also. And every place is exciting, but this is a newer zone, and it's actually designed like a pod. So it's like a pod sitting inside of the campus. So those are the areas. If there's something more specific in a certain area of research you want to talk to me, I could probably talk. I'm talking to you very broadly right now.
Okay. All right, cool. Three questions regarding the hostel facility that you'll have. Could you just give some clarity on that?
Vida, you have a hostel presentation? Okay. So the thing is, Dion, this is Mumbai, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if you came here, when you came here last year, you would have seen the dogs wagging their tails. The dogs don't wag their tails like this in Mumbai, they wag their tails. So there's just no space. So space is such a constraint, and the part of Mumbai that we are in, whereas it's an innovation district and it's a corporate hub, the flip side is that the real estate becomes really, really expensive. All of Mumbai, actually, they say that it compares with London in many ways, so far as real estate is concerned. But the good news is, whereas though we don't run our own hostel, and it's not possible for us to run a hostel in this part of Mumbai, but the great news is that we have an arrangement with a company called Your Space. This is brilliant housing arrangement that we have in Mumbai, and what this company, which has also been awarded by the Prime Minister amongst the top 10 of 15 housing solution companies in the country, they only address student housing. And if you see to the right hand top corner, that cluster of 4 or 5 buildings is referred to as L&T Crescent Bay. Brilliant construction overlooking the Arabian Sea, fully occupied. It's a residential complex. And Your Space, the company Your Space, has taken a couple of apartments there. I'm not sure, I think 280 or 300 students are staying there right now, under 300, more than 280. And these are fully serviced apartments, as you can make out, whether the drawing and dining and living spaces. Each bedroom has two beds, no bunk beds. The kitchen is fully appointed with a microwave and, a kitchenette, hot plate, refrigerator, washing machine, television, even newspaper. Children ask me only one question: is there Wi-Fi? Yes, Wi-Fi. Pretty much you just come with your clothes and you sort of plug and play. They give you breakfast, dinner, lunch on weekends, national holidays. There's also a doctor on call, warden, matron, women security guards from ISDI. It really is great space. There's an awesome jogging track, gym. It's actually as comfortable as any international accommodation can be, maybe more. This is 2 kilometers from the campus. Our classes start at 8 in the morning until 4:30, and therefore in the morning students find it difficult to walk, but 2 kilometers in the evening is walkable. We also start bus services every year so that they can come very easily in the morning. This is 2 kilometers, and in the first year, a very large number of students stay here. You can continue living here in all 4 years, for all 4 years. But I do find that sometimes students stay here in the first year when they're very new to the city, not very familiar with how to travel, want a very protected environment, parents particularly. But in the second year, they do move out because it's easy. They get more reasonable accommodation in and around our campus. What does it cost to stay over here? All inclusive, this will vary between 20 to about 30,000 rupees per student per month, which is why I said over and above the tuition, living in Mumbai can cost you anywhere between an additional 2 to 3 lakh rupees per annum. But trust me, it's worth every bit of it because you get multiple times the value. So this is the accommodation, and quite honestly, it's awesome. And I've also lived here on some occasions, and everything from a vegetable vendor to this and that, everything is there. You don't have to cook yourself because food is provided. But if you want to make your odd Maggie and chai and omelette.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay. Um, Now, a couple of questions regarding the degree. The question: why is a B.Des degree not provided instead of a BA Sociology?
Okay, is that from a parent or a student
Yeah,
or both?
parent.
Super, because then I'll explain in greater detail. Not that I would have children get bored when I talk about degree. So, all right. So it's like this: Dion or Bulbul Chaudhary or Abhyuday in this call, or the parent who asked me this question. Let's say we start a design school, right? Uh, we have to understand one thing: the only entity that can award a degree is Mumbai, is a university. If you're not a university, you are not going to be able to award your own degree, right? So, Dion, you start a school of design, and for now, I'm just calling it Dion Institute of Design, DID. Okay?
Okay.
And DID may be a wonderful design school, it may be absolutely fantastic, but the truth is, DID cannot offer a degree of its own because you're not a university, right? And barring NIFT, NID, and IIT, which also, by the way, are not universities, but because they are autonomous, NIFT as part of Ministry of Textiles, NID as part of Commerce Ministry, and IIT as part of Ministry of HRD, they have all been given what is called autonomy to award their own degrees. But every single private design school, whether it is ISDI or Shrishti or UID or ABC or whoever, we are all private institutions. A, neither are we universities. B, nor are we autonomous by the government. And by ourselves, we cannot award degrees. Now, the other rule of the land is that if you want to tie up with someone to give a degree, you obviously have to go to a university. But we are bound by the Lakshman Rekha of our state. So if Dion decides to go and tie up with a university in Karnataka, the government says, Dion, go anywhere in Karnataka and find a university, take their degree and give it to whoever joins you. But you can't step out of Karnataka. That means you can't tie up with a university in Maharashtra and definitely not an international university, which is why we don't give you a Parsons degree. Parsons would be happiest to, but Indian government does not forget international degrees. They don't even allow a degree from outside your state. So all of us, when we start a design school, whether it's ISDI or any other, we have to identify universities within our state to get a what shall I say, to find a university that is happy to award a degree. Abhyuday, while I'm talking to Dion, if possible, if you can get a letter of a master's offer from UAL, that would be brilliant. Adnan has it. Okay.
Yeah, I also have it.
Okay, we'll show it to them. Okay, perfect. So coming back to the first thumb rule, degree means university. Private schools are neither universities in ourselves, nor are we autonomous. We have to go to someone to go and get a degree. And by the way, we can open another discussion on whether degree is even important. I personally feel yes, it is, because you will need it for a master's. Now, if we all go within our states and to find a university to tie up with, all of us have two choices. There are private universities in our state and there are government universities in our state. Now, ISDI chose to tie up with a government university. Many other design schools choose to tie up with a private university. Remember, whichever way you go, you are taking someone else's degree and awarding it. It is never going to be your degree. It's not what you stand for. It is just a necessary evil that I want to make sure that I get a degree because I don't have one, right? Now, why does ISDI offer a government degree? I will come to that later. But government degrees do not do, like Bombay University, Delhi University, uh, Madras University, Calcutta University, Bangalore UGC University, directly under UGC, will not have a BDES course. We have vanilla BA, BCom, and BSc. The private universities, every state has n number of private universities, more so in Karnataka. Private universities can offer a BDES course because BDES is a generic word. It's neither a technical degree nor an architecture degree nor an engineering degree. So it's just a morphed bachelor's of arts anyway. Universities may offer that degree without even having a design department sometimes. Now, the choice is as simple. Either you want to give a government degree or you want to give a private degree. If you want a government degree, there is no BDES. You want a private state university degree, you have a BDES. ISDI, for various reasons, was very clear that we will only give a government degree. One, if you have seen a track record of various private institutions that opted for private universities in the last 5 years, most of them have changed their universities 3 to 4 times. That means 4 different batches have graduated with 4 different degrees or the same degree from 4 different private universities, thereby creating a lot of confusion in the minds of foreign universities when they receive 2 different students from 2 different batches. How is it that the same student from ISDI is coming with 2 different degrees from 2 different universities, and that too that frequently? But that's not the reason. We've given a government degree, and a government degree of UGC recognized degree cannot be in BDES. If we opted to give you a university, a private university degree in our state, like Lokmanya Tilak, Garware, Yashwantrao Chavan University, we would also give you a BDES. We've chosen consciously not to give a private university degree. And the reason, Dion, is let's quickly look at this. I'm going to request everyone not to take pictures of it because it's a real offer letter of a student, but this is to highlight the point I'm trying to make. This is a student called Jenny Shah. She studied communication design at ISDI for years, and she wanted to do a master's at University Arts London. By now you already know UAL is the world's second best place in the design right now, actually rated even higher than Parsons right now. And look at her letter. The team comes here, they see her work, they see her transcript, they see her portfolio, they go back to UK, they send her an offer letter. Congratulations on your offer of a place on MA. It doesn't say MDes, by the way. MA, because all of UK follows BA and MA. Graphic Branding and Identity at London College of Communication. We are delighted that you have chosen to come to UK to study at the University of Arts London. Please notice carefully, though the offer letter has been sent, it's a conditional offer. It's not a firm offer. Abhyuday, if you can just roll into the second page and let's look at what are the offer conditions as far as UAL is concerned. And by the way, if you look at the right-hand side, this letter is not for visa purpose. That means with this letter, the child cannot apply for a visa till she completes the offer conditions. Once she completes, a separate non-conditional letter is issued with which we can apply. Look at the offer conditions. Successful completion of bachelor's degree. Doesn't say bachelor's in sociology, psychology, design, whatever. But it's very clear that it must be from the University of Bombay and an IELTS score of 6.5. Now, most of the leading universities, whether it's Royal College of Art, UK, by the way, all letters will look exactly the same because all universities of UK are government funded and government owned. They don't have private universities. So successful completion of bachelor's degree, University of Mumbai, because they are aware that the ISDI being in Mumbai, the only government university I can access for degrees, if I want to give a government degree, is University of Mumbai. Now, with such a large number of my students wanting to go for a master's to the best places over the world, about 30, 35 go each from every batch, and some of them, Dion, may not go for a master's immediately on completion of the program. They may go 5 years down the line. I want to make sure that the conditions, see, recognition is not about what you and I want to recognize. Recognition means someone else should be willing to recognize what I'm offering. The leading universities, the top 20, 25, are favorably bent towards Indian UGC recognized degrees, whether it's from Delhi University, Mumbai University, wherever. If SD were in Delhi, the requirement would have been University of Delhi. Now, to enable my students to go to the best places and to complete the offer conditions, I will stick to a government degree. I am not going to give private university degrees and create further questions and conditions and further conditions. I have to make sure that I offer a degree. In any case, it's not my degree. None of us give you our own degree. But if I have to go and take a degree from someone else, I might as well give you a degree that will work for you, whether you go to Parsons or Royal College of Art or UAL or SCAD or SVA or wherever. And that is one. There are additional advantages of a government degree. If you ever applied for a permanent residency to countries like Canada, Australia, they work on a point system. If you have a degree, you get extra points. If you have a government degree, even better, you get even more points. And it may never happen, but if you ever apply for a government job, like I did at one time as a teacher at NIFT, I was asked for a government degree back then. And many of our young people are not going to do government jobs. But in the first two categories, we found that a government degree works for you in all situations. And we are very clear that we are never going to opt for a private state university degree. The other thing is it also comes with a lot of other challenges. If you have to adapt your course, change. I mean, if I'm Parsons, I have to be offering a Parsons curriculum. I can't do a little bit of this and a little bit of that and end up being nobody, right? So, I'm trying to answer your question in many ways, but it's a government degree, it's a UGC degree. You will get what Bombay University or Delhi University or Calcutta University or Madras University or Bangalore University offer. I don't give a private state university degree.
All right, all right. So Mr. Ganesh Putta is saying it's a great answer. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you so much for listening to not. I mean, the minute I talk about degrees, the students switch off. But
Yeah,
he will
and
get a degree. All right.
final question, Bulbul, before we end. Do
Mhm.
you all offer any scholarships? A question from Neha Venki's.
Yes, Dion, and I think we are going to be slightly more benevolent this year in how we look at scholarships. But currently, of every 5 or 6 students at SD, one is on a definite scholarship. Whatever scholarship is awarded to you is awarded for the entire duration of the program. It's not like an American university where you'll get it for the first year and then you have to fend for yourself. But yes, for you to continue getting the scholarship in subsequent years, you must comply with the minimum requirements of attendance, grades, and community work hours that will be allotted to you. Uh, there are two broad categories of scholarship, financial assistance. One is called merit scholarship, where we would look at your marks of class 10th and your ISDI challenge. You do know ISDI challenge is happening online now. So we would look at both your scores and before we arrive at a decision as to whether you're eligible for a merit scholarship. 12th marks we are not looking at unless you're coming from an IB or an A-level curriculum where we would look at your predictive scores. This year anyway there are no predictive scores because they've already assessed the students basis their cumulative grades. Anyway, so merit scholarship is purely marks based. Uh, the other scholarship, not scholarship, that is called financial assistance, where we look at a family's cumulative income before deciding whether that student can be awarded financial assistance. And we would look at every little thing, like what is the cumulative income of the family? Are you going to have to relocate from Bangalore and therefore there's an additional cost? Are there younger siblings who still have to get an education? Are there loans that the family is going to have to bear, etc., etc.? Are you taking an education loan? So we will ask you a few questions. Don't get offended. The more you tell us, the easier it becomes for us to find a most suitable scholarship for you. The scholarship committee is actually there to see and be able to award a scholarship, then to probably refrain from it. So yes, do apply for scholarship. As head of admissions, I encourage you to apply for scholarship. And like I said, this year we may be, we've always been very benevolent, but I think this year tad more than all other years.
All right, all right, all right. Right. I think that's about it, Bulbul. Thank you so much for coming in and clarifying all the questions.
You have the best students in the country, Dion. For you,
Thank
anything. I have to say this to you and your team and the students and the parents. Uh, the students from DQ Labs, and I'm not just saying it because I'm on your platform. I can say this on any other platform, and you know I will. Are some of the when it comes to thinking, they just think in the right way. Their skills are in order, processes are in place. You just make life so much easier for us. So anything for you.
thank you so much, Bulbul. That really appreciate that. And Abhyuday, thanks a lot to you as well for making it here and and and
So much.
making this happen. So looking forward to a lot more interactions with you guys. And in case there's any questions from any of the of the attendees here, I'll definitely redirect them to you.
Thank
Probably
you
either
so much.
Abhyuday or you, Bulbul, and we'll take it from there. Okay.
So much once again. Thank you for listening in.
All
Thank you,
right.
everyone. Thank
Stay
you, Dion.
safe. Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye. Bye.